Shedeur Sanders rubbed a few teams the wrong way at his combine interviews. There was a quarterback coach for a team picking in the top 7 that allegedly said that he was bashful, he wasn't that humble. And the thing about Shedeur Sanders' draft stock falling is that this only improves his chances at succeeding at the next level. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't want Shedeur Sanders to go to Cleveland. If he goes to Cleveland, he's automatically going to have a disastrous rookie season, because anytime you have a rookie quarterback that goes into a situation where you got a head coach and a general manager on the hot seat, it never works out. Look at what happened with Caleb Williams this past season. He was the first overall pick. He was supposed to be the second coming of Patrick Mahomes. And Matt Eberflus got fired midway through the season after Thanksgiving. When you have a quarterback that goes into an unstable situation where you have a head coach that's putting all of this pressure on them because their job is on the line, if this rookie quarterback doesn't produce, the coach gets fired, and then you have Shedeur Sanders going into a second season with a new coaching staff. The key to a young quarterback's development is maintaining stability on the coaching staff. When people call Justin Herbert overrated, I truly am flabbergasted. He's the only quarterback that has produced top 10 numbers ever since his rookie season, despite having 3 different head coaches his first 5 years in the league. That's something that not too many quarterbacks have been able to do. Normally, when you go through the amount of coaching changes that Justin Herbert has gone through, you end up not being good. Look at what has happened to Jameis Winston and Marcus Mariota. Prime examples of quarterbacks that were really promising early in their careers that ended up not panning out due to the amount of coaching staff turnover that they constantly had to deal with. Shedeur, his draft stock tanking is the best thing that could happen to him, because the more he continues to fall, the better situation he ends up going to. I have my fingers crossed that if the Steelers don't re-sign Justin Fields, Shedeur falls to us when it's our time to pick in the first round. I get the character concerns. He's not for everybody. I don't have a problem with his cockiness. I don't have a problem with his confidence. But when he does talk, he does come off a little bit, you know, a little bit full of himself. But this is Deion's son. What do you expect? I really don't get how these teams go into an interview with the son of one of the most egotistical athletes ever and expected his son not to be somewhat of the same way. You know, I love everything about Shedeur Sanders' personality. I love the competitiveness. I love the cockiness. I want my quarterback to have 110% confidence in his ability that he can turn around any program. He can turn around any franchise. Everywhere Shedeur has went, he's left that program better than what it was before he got there. Before he got to Jackson State, unless you were a diehard fan of the SWAC or you were alumni of that university, you didn't know where the hell Jackson State was. And if that even was a football team for real, when I heard Deion took the Jackson State job, I was like, what? Jackson State? Where's that at? What's the name? Huh? And then he transfers and follows his pops from Jackson State to Colorado, and he turns that program around as well. He ends up being top 5 in Heisman voting and one of the best quarterbacks in college football over his past 2 seasons in Boulder. I'm really confident that Shedeur is going to work out. He understands what it takes to be a successful player in the NFL because he grew up around it. He watched his dad put in the work, and he knew the commitment that it took for his dad to become one of the greatest players in NFL history. There's a reason why Tom Brady is the mentor for Shedeur Sanders. And I feel like Shedeur purposely is somewhat tanking his draft stock intentionally so he can fall to the Raiders at 6. With a coach like Pete Carroll and a creative offensive mind like Chip Kelly, and with the amount of cap space that the Raiders have to spend, you know, Shedeur Sanders could instantly have a fantastic rookie season and can get that franchise to the playoffs. If he goes to the Steelers, though, which I'm hoping happens, I feel really confident he could thrive under Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin is the ultimate players coach. He always gets the most out of everybody that he has at quarterback. If you can win 9-10 games, make it to the playoffs with Mitch Trubisky, Mason Rudolph, Kenny Pickett, Justin Fields, and Russell Wilson, you can definitely make it to the playoffs with a Shedeur Sanders. Any team that gets Shedeur Sanders is getting one of the biggest steals in the draft if his draft stock truly does end up tanking and he ends up falling a little bit. If he falls out of the first round and you get him in round 2, that's a huge steal. Remember, Lamar Jackson got drafted the final pick of the first round years ago, and he was a stud. Remember what happened with Jalen Carter? His draft stock fell despite him being the best player in that class due to the character concerns and the off-the-field incident that he got himself into. Just because your draft stock falls doesn't mean it's a negative. It could always be a positive. The more you continue to fall, the better situation you end up landing in. A lot of these teams that are picking in the top 5, the top 10 this year, they've been picking in the top 5, top 10 in the draft for the last couple of seasons for a reason. And as somebody that really loves Shedeur Sanders and wants him to succeed, I hope his draft stock falls a little bit so he can go to the best situation possible that gives him the best opportunity to maximize his talent and to have a successful career. He's under more pressure than any other quarterback that has entered this league has been under due to the name that's on the back of his jersey, the expectations, the pressure, the media attention that comes with that Sanders last name. Shedeur's built for this. He's been training for this moment all his life, and I don't think we're going to see him get to the NFL and just completely fall off and become a bust. At worst, I feel Shedeur ends up being a top 15 quarterback. He ends up being like a Kirk Cousins or a Dak Prescott. If he ends up reaching his ceiling, though, you could have the chocolate-covered version of Joe Burrow.